Evening, everyone. I am very happy to be here with you, to be part of the event that is entering the exhibition of robotic prints by Zaven Paré. So I will... Yeah, okay. So I will start with this robots playing in America. Why am I going to talk about robots in America? The reason is not just that it's convenient since we are on US territory, and thus it's good to mention some historical facts about the relationship between Čapek's robots and United States. The R.U.R. Americanism was already debated at the time of its very first staging in 1921 here in Prague at the National Theatre. The play was supplied with adjectives as play for an export, play with a global topic, in opposite to, in these times, preferred national or local themes. The R.U.R. was called American play in a sense of topic dealing with modern industrial society issues. The author was accused of trying to obviously to write a play for an export, play that will appeal to a wide audience and thus trying to satisfy the taste of show business production consumers rather than the refined taste of European intellectuals. However, we can use the adjective American play literally in case of R.U.R. too. It was the success of the theater production in New York that opened for robots doors of other foreign theaters. The neologism robot gained great popularity worldwide, but particularly quickly spread through English-speaking countries. The play R.U.R. was translated into English by Paul Selber in 1923. Already in 1933, there were found many variations of the word robot in supplements to the Oxford English Dictionary, like robotize, robotizing, robotization, robotry, robotism, robotian, robotesque, and so on. In a Czech newspaper at the time, František Chudoba reported that the word robot had a richer life abroad than at home. The play was premiered in USA 1 year later after the Prague premiere on October 9, 1922 in New York at the Garrick Theatre. It was produced by the Theatre Guild, a company specializing in modern European drama. Čapek's agent, engineer František Kohl, wrote about it. Let me quote, R.U.R. by Karel Čapek was the first Czech work that I represented, and Čapek was my first Czech author. Actually, we started our international career together, and the success of R.U.R. was a big success of my agency as well. In London, it was Nigel Playfair, the famous modern stage director and theatre director. He was captivated by the novelty of the idea, caused that the play was accepted and played by the Theatre Guild in New York, the most artistic theatre in America, and soon it was made by well-known director Basil Dean in Court Theatre in London. Both these theatres has established the worldwide fame of the R.U.R. and Karel Čapek's name abroad. And what came after, that was just series of another successes. So as you can hear, the US premiere of the R.U.R. was a big success, just to illustrate it with one review, one of many other reviews, published in Evening Sun on October 10, 1922. Like Wells of an early day, the dramatist frees his imagination and lets it soar and trip that exceeds even Jules Verne's wildest dreams. The Guild has put theatre goers in its depth this season. R.U.R. is super melodrama, the melodrama of action plus idea, a combination that is rarely seen in our stage. Going back to the beginning of the 20th century, we can see that the robots quickly became a symbol of the modern times and heroes of technological progress narratives, bravely going beyond the boundaries and limits of natural biological humanity. Robots easily colonized pages of science fiction novels and short stories and were just as quickly transposed into the physical world as well. On this journey, the robot character lost its social satirical edge and philosophical depth for its new career within young literary genre, the science fiction. The robot became even the central figure of the sci-fi stories of the time, called, according to cheap paper, the magazines were printed on the pulp fictions. Who were you if you admired him? Asked Robert Wexler, one of the reviewers of Čapek's work and reception in US. The question was simple. You were a sci-fi fan. Isaac Asimov, the US sci-fi author, called a father of modern robot story, was a passionate reader of the pulpy sci-fi stories, and he became tired of the ever-repeated robot plot. He wrote, through the 20s and 30s, R.U.R. helped reinforce the Frankensteinian complex, and with some exceptions, the hordes of clanking murderous robots continued to be reproduced in story after story. Asimov made no secret of his criticism of R.U.R. Let me quote, "When I read it, my purely personal opinion was that it was dreadful." So he came with his own definition of robot. According to Asimov, let me quote, "A robot is a computerized machine that is capable of performing tasks of a kind that are too complex for any living mind other than of a man, and of a kind that non-computerized machine is not capable of performing. In other words, to put it as briefly as possible, robot is machine plus computer." He saw robots as machines, advanced machines, but machines. They might be dangerous, but safety factors would be built in. These safety factors are known as 3 laws of robotics that were adopted by scientists and engineers working in this field as well. Asimov summed up the transformation from Čapek's robots metaphors to his robots machines in the Robot Chronicles. He wrote, "I dealt with robots unemotionally. They were produced by engineers, they presented engineering problems that required solutions, and the solutions were found. The stories were rather convincing portrayals of a future technology and were not moral lessons. The robots were machines and not metaphors." End of quote. The transformation from robot metaphor of Karel Čapek to robot machine of Asimov, let's say, didn't take place within the sci-fi genre exclusively. Robots were soon transposed into the physical world too. We can raise objections together with Karel Čapek against this kind of robots. As Karel Čapek said, so it's not an author's fault what can be called the world hype with robots. The world needed mechanical robots, hence the author asks for something that nobody can deny to him, the honor that he was defeated. We could stop here with conclusion that Čapek invented the robot, the figure of a danger of robotization of man, that was transformed into the universal super machine in sci-fi production to start their new career within the field of robotics. These robots have got a little in common with robots Čapek wrote about. However, they still commemorate their father Čapek, who gave them their name. But maybe Karel Čapek was wrong when he thought that his concept of robot was defeated by the intelligent machines. Maybe the mechanical robot's victory was only temporary, and now, in the 21st century, we are able to better understand Čapek's words that the R.U.R. is not about machine monsters, but about man, or better to say, about humanity or humankind in danger of robotization. While Isaac Asimov's robots are defined as a computer plus machine, and they are symbols of the computer age, to paraphrase Asimov's words, there is no robot without computer. In a contrary to this, Čapek's robots can be seen as products of bioengineering, because they are results of manipulation with living matter. They are replicants, organic copies of fake humans, if you like. This definition of robots is connected with a plot based on the search for an answer. What is the difference between human and robot, the replica of man? How to distinguish between them or how to distinguish from each other. The ease of their interchangeability based on external attributes, their appearance, behavior, etc., already appears in the Čapek's play when Helena Glory arrives at the island factory in the prologue of the play, and she repeatedly mistakes humans for robots and vice versa. So now I prepared a little test for all of us. Are we as confused as Helena Glory, or are we better in the ability to find between the cast of the Čapek's R.U.R. play who is the human and who is the robot? Maybe you can decide by yourself. Can you find, for example, robots within this cast?
I see two, I think.
Yeah, and what are the features you find there that distinguish them from the human characters?
I think that man on the bottom left is quite clear. He has a number, so this looks like a robot from the factory. And the second one I think is more tricky, so I think I see Sula there, the second from the right on the bottom.
Yeah. You are right. Yeah, so we are better than Helena. She confused it many times, but maybe she didn't read R.U.R. before she arrived to the island factory. So, because I think that the postures of the all characters and also the way how they are dressed and their haircuts are not so different. It's more like really same stylization of the human and robots. It's more about that we know that robots were workers in the factory, not so probably they will not have the suit. Umberto Eco, famous semiotician, wrote that what is the original of man and what is his replica always depends on how we decide to define characteristic of the human. And what is the difference between authentic, original human, and its replica? Čapek ends the play R.U.R. with the thesis that humanity is defined by emotions. The ability to feel love, hate, fear of death differ human from their replicas. And in the last act of the play, he suggests that the robot couple in love passed the test of humanity. The motif of the interchangeability of man and robot, the biological double of man, appears, for example, in the already classic sci-fi film Blade Runner. The difficulty to recognize differences between humans and replicants is, similar to R.U.R., staged in the form of test, the Voigt-Kampff test, measuring the emotional reactions of the tested objects. The Voigt-Kampff test was a test used by Blade Runners to assist in determining whether or not individual was a replicant. The machine used in the test measured bodily functions such as respiration, heart rate, blushing, and pupillary dilation in response to emotional provocative questions. That is, it measured physical manifestations of emotional reactions to stimuli. Theater audience of the R.U.R. play, as well as cinema goers, readers of the sci-fi stories, they or we are placed in the position of the test operator. It's up to them, or it's up to us, how the results will be evaluated. In any case, the attitude of the operator will testify not the outstanding results of scientific and technical progress of the given civilization, but above all, it will tell about the state of humanity at the given time. Thank you for your attention.